I'm the butcher with the heaviest kill count in Ravenwood. I just finished slaughtering a hog for the New Year rush and was covered head to toe in blood. On my way back to the village, I found a pregnant woman, looking like a porcelain doll, collapsed on the road. She looked ready to pop. I was in a hurry to deliver my pork, so I dialed 911, casually wiping the blood off my boning knife as I spoke. Yeah? Dispatch? I got a bleeder here with a big belly in my custody. That's right, covered in blood, screaming her head off. I'm sharpening my knife right now, getting ready to get to work. You guys better hurry. If you're late, the meat won't be fresh. I sell this stuff by the pound. I looked at the pregnant woman's grateful eyes and thought, it's hard being a good Samaritan these days. Full service included. Less than 5 minutes after I hung up, a SWAT helicopter was hovering overhead. A sniper's red laser settled right between my eyebrows. I couldn't help but wonder, do ambulances come with rotors nowadays? Sending special forces for a maternity run seemed a bit excessive. That red dot dancing on my forehead was making me dizzy. I figured it was some high-tech city gadget to guide the paramedics. So I enthusiastically waved my blood-slicked butcher knife and pointed at the woman on the ground. Over here. She's right here. Hurry down, or she'll bleed dry. A loudspeaker boomed from above. Drop the weapon. Surrender immediately. You have the right to remain silent. I froze. Weapon. I looked down at the freshly sharpened blade in my hand. This was my livelihood. Since when did it become a weapon? Before I could process it, a swarm of men in black tactical gear and helmets rushed out from all directions. The hardware in their hands looked a lot harder than my knife. Freeze! Get down! The commotion startled me. My foot slipped in the mud, my hand still gripping the knife. That slip was disastrous. I lunged straight toward the pregnant woman. The posture looked exactly like I was going in for the kill. Bang! A gunshot rang out, the bullet hitting the dirt inches from my foot, splashing mud into my face. I shuddered in terror, the knife clattering to the ground with a metallic ring. Immediately, 3 large officers tackled me, shoving my face into the mud. My arm was nearly twisted into a pretzel. Ow, ow, ow. Easy. That arm is for butchering hogs. You gonna pay me if you break it? Stay down. You sick serial killer. The guy kneeling on my back roared louder than I did. I was bewildered. Serial killer. I struggled to turn my head, spitting out mud. Officer, you got it wrong. I'm a butcher. I found her on the side of the road. Just then, paramedics in white coats rushed over, carefully lifting the woman onto a stretcher. She tried to speak, but the pain made her groan, and she passed out before she could get a word in. Great. The only witness just fainted. Hands cuffed behind my back, I was shoved into the back of a reinforced paddy wagon. Watching the van full of live ammo SWAT guys, I was still worrying. My pork was still in the back of my pickup truck. If this took too long, the meat would spoil. Mrs. Higgins next door ordered that. If it went bad, she'd curse me so hard, I'd never find a wife. Officer, can I just cover the meat in my truck? The SWAT officer sitting across from me, rifle in hand and face like a thundercloud, barked, "Shut up. You can explain at the station." I sighed. The service attitude of these city cops was mediocre at best. Nothing like Sheriff Grady back in town. When Grady busted a poker game, he'd at least let you finish the hand. The interrogation room lights were blinding. 2 detectives sat opposite me, a man and a woman. The man had a face full of gristle, looking more like a butcher than I did. The woman was pretty but had a face like stone, looking at me like I owed her money. The male detective slammed the table. Wham! I flinched. Name: Jack Blade Miller. Occupation: artisan. Ancestral knife skills. The detective sneered. Artisan? Looks more like an executioner. Start talking. What happened to the pregnant woman? I perked up. I knew this part. Oh, you mean the big belly? I saw her by the road. It was urgent. I figured if the thing died on the way, it wouldn't be worth any money, so I called you guys. The female detective, taking notes, snapped her pen tip, tearing the paper. She looked up, eyes ready to skin me alive. Not worth money? In your eyes, is that a human life or cargo? I scratched my head, handcuffs jingling. Depends on how you look at it. Alive, it's priceless. Dead, it's just a pile of meat. A hassle to dispose of. Bad luck. I was telling the honest truth. In my line of work, a dead hog is taboo. No one eats dead pork. You have to bury it secretly. Waste of time and effort. The male detective's face turned red, veins pulsing in his neck. You are absolutely deranged. The blood on that woman. You did that. I looked down at my blood-soaked clothes. Mostly mine, some hers. I was working fast earlier, didn't put on an apron, got splattered. Working fast. The female detective's voice trembled. You worked on her? Well, yeah, had to. Her position was tricky. If I didn't slice that layer of skin open, the thing inside wouldn't come out. I was talking about the sow earlier that morning. She had a difficult labor, so I performed a C-section. Only I had those skills in the Tri-County area. The interrogation room went silent. Dead silent. The male detective's hand moved to his waist. I guess he wanted to shoot me right there. The female detective took a deep breath, suppressing her rage. The thing inside wouldn't come out? You mean you performed a cesarean? I nodded, beaming with pride. You bet. My blade is fast. She didn't suffer much. One cut, barely any blood, and the little piglet popped right out. Pink and tender, looked real healthy. Ugh. The female detective couldn't hold it back, covered her mouth, and ran out. The male detective flipped the table. Animal. You animal. I'm going to kill you. 2 deputies rushed in, restraining him. I shrank back in my chair. Wait, officer, let's talk this out. I just killed a pig. Why all the anger? Killed a pig. The detective, pinned against the wall, was still struggling. You call that pregnant woman a pig? I froze. Oh, we were on different pages. I hurriedly explained. No, I'm talking about the New Year hog I slaughtered this morning. The pregnant woman was the one I found on the way back. You guys showed up before I could do anything. The detective stopped struggling, looking at me suspiciously. You didn't touch her? I swear. I was going to take her to my shop to dress her wounds and maybe deliver the baby. I mean, I'm a butcher, but anatomically speaking, people and pigs aren't that different. Shut up. The female detective returned, face pale, pointing a finger at my nose. Gag him. I don't want to hear another word. I felt incredibly wronged. Tell the truth, and nobody believes you. Just then, the door swung open. A man in a tailored suit, looking like old money, walked in. The chief of police followed, bowing and scraping. The man glanced at me. His eyes were colder than my killing knife. This is it, I thought. The owner of the pig I slaughtered found me. But that didn't make sense. I raised that pig myself. The suit walked up to me. Looming. He smelled of expensive cologne, like some kind of curing spice. The chief smiled nervously. Mr. Sterling, this is the guy. Caught red-handed. We're interrogating him now. Rest assured, we'll throw the book at him. Mr. Sterling ignored the chief and just stared at me. Which hand touched her? The question came out of nowhere. I subconsciously held out my right hand. This hand holds a knife, this hand holds the... Before I could finish, Sterling kicked my chair hard. I toppled over, face planting into the floor. Hey, why are you hitting me? Officers, aren't you going to stop this? I yelled from the floor. The chief turned his head, pretending to read a poster on the wall. The 2 detectives looked satisfied. Sterling squatted down, grabbing my collar. He was strong. If anything happens to Evelyn or the baby, I will slice the meat off your bones, piece by piece, and feed it to the dogs. I shivered. Was this guy a colleague? That was professional talk. Buddy, let's talk. I really didn't hurt her. I just wanted to deliver some pork. You dare mention pork. Sterling raised his fist. Just then, a nurse rushed in. Mr. Sterling. Mr. Sterling. The madam is awake. Sterling's hand froze midair. He let go, straightened his suit, and turned to leave. At the door, he paused. Bring him. I want Evelyn to identify this animal personally. I was hauled up. My heart was bitter. The pork in my truck was probably attracting flies by now. Who was going to cover that loss? We arrived at the hospital. Bodyguards everywhere. A sea of black suits blocking the corridor. I was shoved into the VIP ward. The pregnant woman lay on the bed. Pale, but she looked alert. In the bassinet next to the bed, a baby was crying loudly. Sterling rushed to the bedside, gripping the woman's hand, his eyes red. Evelyn, you've suffered. I caught the pervert. How do you want to handle him? He pointed back at me. The woman followed his finger. I squeezed out an ingratiating smile. I knew that with my face covered in dried blood and mud, the smile probably looked more terrifying than crying. Ma'am, you be the judge. Am I a good guy or what? Sterling roared. Shut up. Don't threaten the victim. Evelyn looked at me for a long moment, then suddenly burst into tears. Honey. Sterling comforted her quickly. Don't be afraid. I'm here. He can't hurt you. Evelyn shook her head and pointed at me. Quick, release him. Sterling froze. The chief froze. The room, full of people, froze. I froze too. This lady knew what was up. Evelyn, are you confused from the shock? He kidnapped you. No. Evelyn tried to sit up, wincing from her wound. My water broke on the road. My car broke down, no signal. He lifted me into his pickup, covered me with his coat. He even called the police. Although what he said was a little scary. At this point, Evelyn couldn't help but chuckle. He said the meat wouldn't be fresh, selling by the pound. Sterling's face went through a spectrum of colors. It was magnificent. The chief's jaw nearly hit the floor. I straightened my back. Even with handcuffs on, I felt 10 feet tall. I told you, I'm a legitimate butcher doing good deeds on the side. You guys wouldn't believe me. Sterling turned around, looking at me. The murderous aura was gone, replaced by awkwardness. Extreme awkwardness. I looked back at him. So, since the misunderstanding is cleared up, can you take these cuffs off? I gotta get back to sell my meat. Sterling waved his hand. The officers quickly uncuffed me. I rubbed my wrists and looked at Sterling. Mr. Sterling, right? About that kick earlier and my truckload of pork. Sterling took a deep breath and pulled out a checkbook. Here is $500,000. Consider it compensation and a thank you gift. I took the check, counting the zeros. 1, 2, 3. Holy cow. How many hogs was this? I swallowed hard and stuffed the check into my jacket. All right, water under the bridge. But I pointed at Evelyn on the bed. The missus is weak. Later, I'll send over 2 pounds of premium tenderloin. Good for recovery. Sterling's mouth twitched. That won't be necessary. I waved my hand and turned to leave. At the door, I remembered something. I looked back at Sterling. By the way, you said you were going to slice me up and feed me to the dogs. Sounded like you know your way around Blade. Maybe we can compare notes sometime. Sterling's face darkened again. I chuckled and swaggered out of the ward. But I didn't expect that this was just the beginning. That check was hot. With 500 grand, I became the richest man in my village. But I was still Jack Blade Miller, the butcher. Money in the bank is just a number. Nothing feels as solid as a butcher knife in your hand. Only, for the next few days, the townsfolk looked at me weird. Mrs. Higgins came to buy meat, threw the money from 10 feet away, grabbed the pork, and ran like she'd seen a ghost. I asked around. The video of the SWAT team taking me down had gone viral. Even though it was debunked, everyone remembered the line. If you're late, the meat won't be fresh. Now the whole town called me the human pork bun. I was innocent, more innocent than a spring lamb. One day, I was swatting flies out of boredom when a black van pulled up to my stall. The door slid open, and 4 burly men with full sleeve tattoos got out. Trouble. The leader wore sunglasses and a thick gold chain. He walked up to my cutting board and knocked on it. You Jack Miller? I held my boning knife, glancing at him. Line forms to the left. You want fatty or lean? Sunglasses sneered. Heard you saved a pregnant lady a couple of days ago. My heart skipped a beat. Didn't Sterling say to keep it quiet? How do these thugs know? So, you looking to deliver a baby too? Wrong guy. I only handle the slaughter, not the birth. Sunglasses face darkened. Cut the crap. That woman had something on her. Is it here? Something. I remembered Evelyn. Aside from blood, she didn't have anything. Oh, right. She was clutching something in her hand, and it fell in my truck. When I cleaned the truck, I saw a small black chip. Thought it was a broken piece of plastic, tossed it in the glove box. What thing? Never saw it. I denied it flatly. My gut told me these guys were bad news. Evelyn's identity was probably complicated. Sunglasses waved his hand. Do it the hard way then. Search the place. The other 3 goons moved to storm my shop. Oh, hell no. This was my territory. I slammed my cleaver into the cutting board. Thud. The blade sank deep, the handle vibrating. I'd like to see you try. You think my meat shop is a playground? The 3 goons paused, intimidated by the force of the chop. Sunglasses took off his shades, revealing vicious eyes. A tough guy. All right, boys, loosen his bones. 4 of them pulled out collapsible batons. I sighed. Why was selling pork so hard these days? Sunglasses charged first, the baton whistling toward my head. I didn't dodge. I've seen straightforward attacks like this from angry hogs 1,000 times. I sidestepped, and my boning knife flicked out. Not to cut. I used the flat of the blade to slap his wrist. Crack. A crisp sound. Sunglasses' baton flew, and he grabbed his wrist, screaming. Your tendon alignment was off. I just corrected it for you. I said earnestly. The other 3 saw their boss go down and lunged together. I bobbed and weaved, the knife in my hand acting like it had eyes of its own. A slap to the knee, a tap on the funny bone, a jab to the ribs. In under a minute, all 4 were on the ground, groaning like pigs waiting for the slaughter. I shook my head. Too weak. The meat quality is poor. Too much water retention. The neighbors were stunned. They knew I could butcher, but they didn't know I could fight like this. I squatted down, looking at Sunglasses. Talk. What do you want the thing for? Sunglasses was sweating buckets from the pain, gritting his teeth in silence. Tough guy. I traced the flat of my knife against his face. Not talking. Guess I'll have to skin you then. This face skin is too thick, ruins the texture. The cold steel against his cheek broke him. Don't cut. I'll talk. It's a chip. It has classified data on the Sterling Corporation. A chip. I thought of the black plastic bit. That piece of junk was worth money. Sirens wailed again. My stomach tightened. Not SWAT again. Luckily, it was Sheriff Grady. Grady looked at the 4 groaning men, then at me, standing without a scratch. Jack, what kind of show are you putting on now? I tossed the knife down and raised my hands. Sheriff, this was genuine self-defense. They started it. Try to rob my meat. Sunglasses on the ground cried out. Officer, help. He's a demon. He was going to butcher us. Grady rolled his eyes. All right, haul him all in. Back to the station. I was a regular now. Not long after I sat down, Arthur Sterling walked in again. This time, the way he looked at me had changed. No bodyguards. Just him. Holding a fruit basket. Looked kind of ridiculous. Mr. Miller. Impressive skills. He placed the basket on the table and sat opposite me. I glanced at the basket. Apples, bananas, 2 dragon fruits. Fancy. Mr. Sterling, shoot straight. Did I cause trouble again? Sterling smiled. Not trouble. You did me a huge favor. Those men were sent by a corporate rival to steal that chip. Oh, that thing's in the glove box of my truck. Go get it yourself. I didn't care about some chip. I just wanted to sell meat in peace. Sterling shook his head. The chip doesn't matter anymore. What matters is they've targeted you, and they've targeted Evelyn. I frowned. Meaning, that organization stops at nothing. You saved Evelyn and ruined their plan. They won't let you go. I mentally cursed 1,000 times. Who did I offend? So what do I do? I can't move. My ancestors are buried here. Sterling leaned forward, staring into my eyes. I have a proposal. Come to my house. Be a bodyguard. Bodyguard. I laughed. Mr. Sterling, you joking? I'm a butcher. You want me in a suit and sunglasses following you around? No suit necessary. Just be yourself. Cook for the family. Cut the meat. When needed, protect Evelyn and the baby. 10,000 a month. The refusal stuck in my throat. 10,000 a month? I barely made that in a year of early mornings and late nights. Deal. I agreed instantly. I had the 500 grand, but who complains about having too much money? Plus, the way Sterling put it, if I didn't go, those guys would keep coming for me. Better to hide in a mansion, make money, and lay low. So I packed my bags, a butcher knife, a boning knife, and my whetstone. I moved into the Sterling villa. The place was massive. The bathroom alone was bigger than my butcher shop. Sterling's wife, Evelyn, was overjoyed to see me. Hero, you finally came. She was holding the baby, looking much healthier. Don't call me Hero. Just Jack. I was a bit embarrassed. The Sterlings had a butler, Mr. Thorne, a meticulous man. He always looked at me with a hint of disdain. Mr. Miller, the kitchen is a sanitary environment. Please pay attention to hygiene. Your tools, please do not mix them with the fine china. He pointed to my greasy, gleaming butcher knife. I curled my lip. What do you know? This blade is blessed. Wards off evil. Thorne shook with rage. The dinner party. The Sterlings hosted a gala. Important people everywhere. Sterling asked me to show off a bit. I thought about it and had them bring out half a hog. The guests were stunned. Under the crystal chandeliers, a raw half-pig was a jarring sight. But I didn't care. I picked up my knife and took a deep breath. Ladies and gentlemen, pardon the display. This is called Jack's Anatomy. The blade flashed. I moved. No fancy flourishes, just precise cuts. Skin separated from meat, meat from bone, joints disconnected instantly. In under 5 minutes, the half-hog became platters of perfectly sliced meat, the bones stripped clean and reassembled into a perfect skeleton. The room was silent. Then, thunderous applause. The ladies in evening gowns looked at me differently, like they were looking at an artist. Sterling was satisfied. Evelyn was happy. Only Mr. Thorne, looking at the pig blood on the floor, turned green. Just when I thought this bodyguard gig was just slicing meat and cooking, trouble came. That night, I got up to use the bathroom. I heard a noise in the nursery. I thought it was the nanny feeding the baby. But the footsteps were wrong. Too light, like a cat or a rat. I gripped my boning knife and crept over. The door was cracked open. By the moonlight, I saw a shadow standing over the crib, holding a syringe, aiming for the baby. In that instant, blood rushed to my head. Mess with me? Fine. Mess with a baby? You die. I didn't yell. Yelling warns them. If their hand slipped, the needle would go in. I held my breath, approaching like I was stalking a wary boar, sliding into the room without a sound. The shadow was focused on the baby, completely unaware of me. Just as the needle tip was about to touch the baby's skin, I struck. Not with the knife. The knife has a killing aura. It might scare the kid. I reached out with my hand, strong from holding down hogs, and clamped onto the shadow's wrist. Snap! I heard the bone dislocate. The shadow let out a short scream, dropping the syringe. My other hand caught the needle, twisted back, and pinned the shadow against the wall. Smooth as butter, easier than slaughtering. The lights flicked on. Sterling and Evelyn rushed in, followed by a team of bodyguards. I saw the shadow clearly now. A woman, wearing a nanny's uniform, but I didn't recognize her face. Who are you? Sterling's face was livid. He lunged to strike her. I stopped him. Hold on. There's something in this needle. Get it tested. I handed the syringe to Thorne, who took it with trembling hands. The fake nanny struggled, glaring at me with venomous eyes. You ruined everything. You'll die screaming. I laughed. Lady, in my line of work, curses are part of the job. I've killed more pigs than you've met people. If karma was real, I'd be dead already. I applied a little pressure to her wrist. Talk. Who sent you? The fake nanny gritted her teeth, refusing to speak. Suddenly, Evelyn cried out. She's the Viper from the organization. Sterling's face changed. The Viper? The assassin who poisons her targets. I looked at the skinny woman in my grip. This, an assassin? My prize boar had more kick than her. All right, since she's a hitman, hand her to the cops. I tossed her to the floor, and the bodyguards hogtied her immediately. After this, my status in the Sterling house skyrocketed. Even Mr. Thorne bowed and called me Mr. Jack. But I felt uneasy. An assassin getting into the house meant the security was like Swiss cheese. I found Sterling. Mr. Sterling, your house isn't safe. Maybe we should move. Sterling sighed. I wanna, but that organization is too powerful. There's nowhere to hide. Unless what? Unless we take out their hive. I widened my eyes. Mr. Sterling, that's a tall order. I'm a butcher. You want me to go to war? Sterling shook his head. You don't have to fight. I've arranged it. There's a charity gala tonight. The head of the organization will be there. I'm going to expose his crimes. So what am I doing? Cooking. The boss is a gourmand. Loves pork. I need you to use your skills to grab his attention. Buy me time. I was speechless. So I was still just a cook. The gala was at the most luxurious hotel downtown. Silk dresses, clinking glasses. I wore a pristine white chef's coat, standing in an open kitchen. In front of me was a freshly roasted suckling pig. Golden, crispy, smelling divine. But I wasn't admiring it. I scanned the crowd. Sterling said the boss was a bald fat man, always holding prayer beads. Soon I locked onto him. The fat man sat at the main table, smiling like a benevolent Buddha. But I could smell him. The scent of blood, heavier than mine. This was a dangerous man. I took a deep breath, picked up my knife, and started carving the skin. The blade danced. Every slice was uniform, carrying just the right amount of fat. The fat man was intrigued. He stood up and walked over. Excellent knife work. Didn't expect a master in a place like this. He walked up to me, beady eyes staring. Young man, how about working for me? I guarantee you wealth and glory. I smiled, handing him a slice of meat. Boss, I don't have big ambitions. I just like killing pigs. Look at this pig, fat head, big ears, look like. I paused deliberately, staring at his bald head. Look like you. The fat man's face instantly dropped. The air around us seemed to freeze. Bodyguards reached into their jackets. Just then, the main screen in the hall lit up. It started playing a video. Evidence of the organization's trafficking, kidnapping, and extortion. The crowd gasped. The fat man whipped around, glaring at Sterling. Arthur Sterling, you dare cross me. He roared, smashing his plate. Kill them. Leave no one alive. On his command, dozens of masked men rushed into the hall. Assault rifles in hand. Screams erupted. Guests scattered. I sighed. Dinner service was over. I looked at the knife in my hand, then at the fat man. Boss, you haven't finished your meat. Leaving so soon? The fat man grinned savagely at me. He pulled a gun from his jacket, aiming at my head. I didn't move. I just took the platter of roast pig and slammed it into his face. Eat your pig. The scorching hot pig, dripping with boiling grease, plastered on his face. The fat man screamed like a stuck hog. His gun went bang, the shot going wild and shattering the crystal chandelier above. Glass rained down, adding to the chaos. The masked gunmen saw their boss attacked and swung their muzzles toward me. I kicked the heavy stainless steel prep table over, ducking behind it. Ping! Pang! Bullets sparked off the steel, ringing in my ears. Mr. Sterling, is this buying time? You're using me as bait. Sterling was shielding Evelyn, retreating toward the back exit. Hearing me, he shot back an apologetic look. Jack, hold on. SWAT is almost here. SWAT again. They were fast when they arrested me. Why so slow now? I cursed internally, but my hands kept moving. On the table lay a cleaver, a boning knife, and a few steak knives. I grabbed 2 steak knives, listening to the footsteps. 1 on the left, 2 on the right. Through the reflection on the stainless steel, I saw 3 pairs of dress shoes creeping closer. Now, I sprang up, flicking the steak knives like darts. Thwack! Thwack! 2 dull thuds. The knives buried themselves precisely in the wrists of the 2 gunmen on the right. Guns dropped. The guy on the left reacted, raising his rifle. I didn't give him the chance. My cleaver spun through the air, smashing right into his forehead. Flat side, of course. Clang! The guy rolled his eyes back and dropped cold. I barrel rolled and grabbed a fallen rifle. I'd never fired one, but I'd seen enough movies. I pointed it at the ceiling and squeezed the trigger. Tot-tot-tot-tot. The barrel jumped wildly, numbing my hand, but it made a statement. The remaining gunman paused, intimidated by my chaotic style. The fat man finally wiped the pig grease off his face. His skin was scalded red. Peeling, he looked worse than the pig. Kill him. Grind him into burger meat. He shrieked hysterically. Suddenly, the hall's windows shattered. Figures rappelled down on ropes. Police! Freeze! Same lines, same delivery. I almost cried tears of joy. Finally, they weren't here for me. The SWAT team was efficient, cleaning up the rabble in seconds. The fat man tried to run. I sprinted over and kicked him square in the ass. Running without paying? Put this pig on his tab. He face-planted and was pinned by officers. Crisis averted. Sterling walked over, patting my shoulder. Great work, Jack. I slumped on the floor, panting. Sterling, price just went up. That was hazard pay territory. Sterling smiled. No problem. Double it. I relaxed. Bad guys caught. Money made. Time to go home and sell pork. But I didn't expect the real twist was just starting. As the police hauled the fat man past me, he stopped struggling. He stared dead at me. Not with hate, but with mockery. You think this is over? He whispered, low enough only for me to hear. The woman you saved, she is the real devil. I froze. Before I could ask, he was dragged away. I turned to look at Evelyn. She was holding the baby, leaning weakly against Sterling's chest. Looking harmless. Was it just the fat man trying to sow discord? I shook my head, clearing the thought. Happy couple, none of my business. Back at the villa, the mood was light. Sterling opened a bottle of wine to celebrate. I had a couple of glasses. The alcohol hit me, making me woozy. In the middle of the night, I woke up thirsty. I stumbled to the kitchen for water. Passing the study, I heard voices. The door was ajar. It was Sterling and Evelyn. I intended to walk away, but I heard my name. Jack Miller has to go. It was Evelyn. That gentle, soft voice was now ice cold. I shuddered, instantly sobering up. Why? He helped us. Sterling sounded hesitant. Just like that fat idiot said, he saw things he shouldn't have. And he's too skilled. He's a liability, Evelyn said coldly. The secrets on that ship cannot leak. The fat man is in custody, but he surely has a contingency plan. Jack handled the chip, if he realized what it was. But, no buts. Arthur, remember, we are building an empire. Any stumbling block must be kicked aside. Evelyn's voice dripped with murderous intent. Tomorrow, arrange an accident. Silence him permanently. I stood in the hall, limbs cold. I was the pig waiting for the slaughter. Family feuds, justice versus evil. In the face of profit, it was all garbage. I clenched my fist. Want to kill me? Let's see if your teeth are sharp enough. I quietly retreated to my room. Pack my knives. Since you want to play dirty, don't blame me for playing rough. The lead actor in this show just changed. I didn't run that night. That's cowardice. Plus, the villa was crawling with cameras and guards. I had to use my brain. The next morning, I got up as usual to make breakfast. Pork congee with century egg, fried eggs, and soup dumplings. I added a special ingredient to the congee. Not poison. I'm a butcher with standards. It was herbal extract used for hogs. When a pig gets aggressive, a little of this makes him sleep like the dead. Works on humans too, just gotta watch the dosage. Sterling and Evelyn came down, acting like nothing was wrong, smiling at me. Jack, sleep well? Evelyn asked sweetly. I looked at her and saw a wolf in human skin. Great. Dreamt of slaughtering pigs. One cut, blood everywhere. Satisfying. I beamed, serving the porridge. Evelyn's expression stiffened for a second, then returned to normal. They ate the porridge without suspicion. 10 minutes later. Why? Why am I so tired? Sterling rubbed his temples, eyelids drooping. Evelyn slumped onto the table, eyes losing focus. Jack, you. She pointed at me, tongue slurring. Thump. Both at the table, out cold. Mr. Thorne and a few guards noticed the silence and rushed in. What did you do? Thorne screamed in horror. I didn't waste words. I flipped the heavy dining table. Nobody move. Anyone moves, I end them. I stood there, a boning knife in each hand, radiating menace. The guards, wary of my skills and afraid of hurting the unconscious couple, hesitated. Open the gate. Give me a car, I commanded. You can't escape. Our men are everywhere outside. Thorne blustered. Run? Who said I'm running? I walked over to Evelyn and yanked a necklace off her neck. The pendant was a delicate locket. I squeezed it hard. Crack. It popped open, revealing a tiny memory card. The chip. I heard Evelyn mention the necklace last night. She wore it constantly. This is your lifeline, right? I dangled the chip. Thorne's face went pale. Give it to me. Sure, just make way. I grabbed the unconscious Sterling as a human shield and walked out. The guards retreated step by step. Just as I reached the main gate, a police cruiser screeched to a halt. Sheriff Grady jumped out with his team. Jack Miller, drop the weapon. I stared. Grady again. Did the Sterlings call the cops? No. People doing their dirt don't call 911. Grady looked at me, then at the unconscious Sterling. Jack, what are you doing? Kidnapping. Sheriff, it's self-defense. These two try to kill me. I yelled. Kill you? They're prominent entrepreneurs. Why would they kill a butcher? Grady clearly didn't buy it. Just then, Evelyn woke up. Woman had an iron constitution. The herbs didn't keep her down long enough. Seeing the police, she switched faces instantly. Tears flowed on command. Officer, help. This maniac poisoned us, stole my necklace, and is trying to kill us to silence witnesses. I was floored. Give this woman an Oscar. Bullshit. You were plotting to kill me. Evidence? Do you have evidence? Evelyn wept beautifully. We took him in, gave him a high salary, and this is how he repays us. Grady looked at me with deep disappointment. Jack, drop the knife. We can talk at the station. I looked at the cops, then at the triumphant Evelyn. I knew if I went to the station, I was dead. The Sterlings had money and power. They turned black into white. My life will be over. No, I wouldn't go down like this. I took a deep breath and made a crazy decision. Sheriff, sorry about this. I shoved Sterling hard into Grady's arms. While everyone scrambled, I turned and bolted, scaling the wall, jumping into a car, diving into alleyways. Skills I perfected skipping school as a kid. Sirens wailed behind me. I was a fugitive, but I had the chip. My only chance to flip the table. I hid in an abandoned slaughterhouse on the edge of town. My home turf. I found an old computer and plugged the chip in. The screen lit up with files that made my scalp tingle. This wasn't just corporate secrets. It was a list. A massive network involving organ trafficking and money laundering. And Evelyn Sterling. She was one of the masterminds behind the whole web. Arthur Sterling was just a puppet she pushed to the front. Even the fat man was her subordinate. The Viper assassination attempt, the attack at the Gala, all theater directed by her. The goal was to eliminate the disobedient fat man and launder her own reputation, pinning all crimes on his faction. What a ruthless woman. What deep schemes. I broke into a cold sweat. I had saved a venomous snake. Bang. The slaughterhouse doors were kicked open. Jack Miller, come out. I know you're in there. It was Evelyn. No more disguise. Her voice was bone-chilling. Behind her were dozens of fully armed mercenaries. Hand over the chip, and I'll leave your body intact. I looked at the chip, then at the army outside. I smiled. Lady, you think I scare easy? I hit the enter key. The email containing all the evidence was sent to the FBI and every major news outlet. Too late. The meat's already sold. Evelyn's face turned ghastly white. Kill him. Cut him into pieces. Gunfire erupted. I crouched low, weaving through the assembly line of hanging iron hooks. This was a slaughterhouse. The border between life and death. My battlefield. I pulled the main breaker. Lights out. Darkness fell. Welcome to my world. I gripped my butcher knife and whispered. The hunt was on. The plant was pitch black, lit only by muzzle flashes. These mercs had night vision goggles, but they didn't know the terrain. Hooks, slippery floors, complex conveyor belts. To me, this was as familiar as my backyard. I knew every blind spot, every obstacle. I moved like a ghost. Ark, a scream. A merc stepped on a patch of lard, slipped, and took a chop to the neck from my hand. Out cold. I snatched his night vision goggles and put them on. Now it was fair. In the green glow, I saw them searching cautiously. Evelyn stood at the door, surrounded by guards, gun in hand, looking panicked. Don't panic. Guard the exits. He can't escape. She barked orders. I sneered. Escape? Why would I run? I hit the switch for the conveyor belt. Rumble. The massive machinery roared to life, hooks clattering overhead. The sudden noise threw them into chaos. Over there. Fire. Bullets sprayed the conveyor belt, sparks flying off the hooks. Using the noise as cover, I circled around. Close quarters, a long gun is just a walking stick. I rushed into the group, knife flying. severing tendons, popping joints, hitting pressure points. I didn't kill, but I made sure they couldn't stand up. One by one, they dropped. Screams echoed. Evelyn was finally terrified. She watched her men dwindle, the invisible enemy getting closer. Retreat. Move. She turned to run, but I was already blocking the door, holding a butcher knife dripping with, well, machine oil. Going somewhere, ma'am? You haven't paid the bill. Evelyn shrieked, raising her gun. My wrist flicked. A throwing knife flashed. It wedged perfectly into the barrel of her gun. My little Lee's flying dagger technique, practiced for 10 years on flies. The gun backfired. Evelyn's hand was injured by the recoil, the weapon clattering to the floor. She collapsed, staring at me in terror. Don't kill me. I have money. Lots of money. I'll give it all to you. I walked toward her slowly. Money doesn't come with you when you die. Your heart is too black. Needs to be taken out and washed. Eveline wet herself. Just then, a symphony of sirens wailed outside. SWAT, state troopers, maybe even the feds. The slaughterhouse was surrounded. The email had done its job. Dawn broke. The doors were pushed open. Countless guns pointed inside. I dropped the knife and raised my hands. Officers, I think I deserve a medal for this one, don't you? Sheriff Grady rushed in first. He looked at the floor of groaning mercenaries, then at Evelyn cowering in the corner. This time, his eyes were full of respect. Jack, you crazy son of a gun. You actually did it. Story complete.